Red Dot focuses on troubled couple David and Nadja. When Nadja becomes pregnant, they make an attempt to rekindle their relationship by traveling to the north of Sweden for a hiking trip, but soon their romantic getaway turns into a nightmare. This is written and directed by Alan Darberg, and it's a Swedish thriller that hit Netflix close to Valentine's Day weekend. Though I can assure you, despite focusing on a couple, this is anything but romantic. It's a fairly grim thriller that definitely doesn't have much about it that's feel good, though it's also not so somber to the point that you just dread getting through it. While we do get a brief opening moment that shows our two main characters in deep trouble that doesn't signal anything good, we then flash back to before they take their trip and we do get to know them briefly. And I'd say, thanks to the backstory we get about both characters, as well as our two leads' performances, we can feel invested in them and we hope for things to work out between them. I wouldn't call this film a character study per se, but it nicely laid the groundwork for us to care enough. Now the film's just under an hour and a half, and I wouldn't call it slow by any means, but it definitely doesn't start to get really intriguing until we're introduced to the red dot element about a half hour in or so. The first act consists of the couple making their way towards their destination and interacting with a number of people who are clearly being creepy towards them and giving them weird vibes. And it's kind of obvious between that and our pretty gruesome opening sequence that things aren't going to go well for these characters, but it's just a matter of how exactly. And I thought Darberg did an effective job of telling an engaging thriller that had a lot of suspense, as he doesn't reveal too much in that opening moment. Now I will say, as a forewarning, the couple does bring their dog along with them on this trip, and given the nature of this film, I won't spoil what happens exactly, but let's just say that if you're a dog lover or an animal lover in general, there is one moment that may immediately turn you off from continuing with this movie. I'm a dog guy myself, and I found it to be pretty stomach-churning. And that goes for a number of certain plot points we get introduced to throughout this film. Though while it pushes you at times as far as how much you can take, I wouldn't call it a film that tries to make you uncomfortable just for the sake of it. The story doesn't constantly revolve around shock elements and gross-out violence. There are a handful of those moments, but the film doesn't rely on them. And for the most part, it's a pretty solid, well-crafted experience. I thought Darberg's direction was really on point, and the film moved at a fairly quick pace. What made things a little more interesting is that since the film is set in the freezing cold, and our two characters are constantly on the move, you're left in suspense if this mysterious individual behind this deadly red dot is going to catch up to them, or will the cold get to them first? And all the mysteries introduced were intriguing enough that I was on board all the way through. In the third act, we do get introduced to a number of revelations, and this was one of my only major criticisms of the film, because I didn't so much have an issue with what was introduced, and I didn't think it was done in a flat-out poor manner, but I did want just a bit more, as we get introduced to one thing after another in rapid succession, and I would have liked just a bit more context on certain things. It didn't ultimately ruin my experience, though. Now, it's not a film that leaves you feeling happy by the end of it, and it's not a film that was so incredible that you're going to rush to rewatch it, but it gives us just enough thrills and just enough character-based drama that it made for a solid viewing experience, and I'd say it's worth a watch if those are your sort of movies. Red Dot gets a 7 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Red Dot, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you find it thrilling? Do you have a favorite Netflix original film this year so far? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.